Sometimes the day you least expect becomes a defining moment. A moment when truth collides head-on with deep-seated prejudice, and one decisive act reshapes an institution overnight. This is the story of Tiana Bradford, a powerhouse CEO who spent her life breaking barriers and shattering glass ceilings, and how one fateful day at her bank turned into a masterclass in courage, accountability, and change. Tiana Bradford's journey to the pinnacle of the financial world was far from smooth. Born and raised in a working-class neighborhood, she understood the value of hard work from a young age. Her parents, both humble workers, instilled in her a strong sense of integrity and the importance of education. Tiana's childhood was marked by financial struggles, but she never let these challenges define her. Instead, she used them as fuel to drive her ambition. She excelled in school, earning a scholarship to a prestigious university, where she studied economics and finance. Upon graduating, Tiana entered the corporate world, quickly realizing that it was a landscape dominated by entrenched biases and glass ceilings. She faced numerous obstacles, from being overlooked for promotions to dealing with subtle and overt forms of discrimination. However, Tiana's resilience and determination were unyielding. She refused to be deterred, instead choosing to outmaneuver these biases with her exceptional skills and unwavering integrity. Tiana's breakthrough came when she founded Bradford Global Investments. Starting as a modest startup, the firm quickly gained a reputation for its innovative strategies and ethical practices. Tiana's leadership style was characterized by her hands-on approach and her commitment to fairness and personal dignity. She believed that success should not be measured solely by financial gains, but also by the positive impact one could have on society. Under Tiana's guidance, Bradford Global Investments grew into a global financial powerhouse. The firm's portfolio was impressive, but what truly set it apart was its culture of diversity, inclusion, and accountability. Tiana ensured that her company reflected the values she held dear, creating an environment where everyone, regardless of their background, could thrive. This commitment to fairness extended beyond her firm. Tiana was a vocal advocate for corporate responsibility and used her platform to challenge other institutions to live up to their promises of equal respect for every customer. One such institution was Meridian Trust Bank. Known for its sleek glass facades and polished marble interiors, Meridian Trust Bank was an emblem of tradition and prestige. However, Tiana suspected that beneath its modern facade, the bank might still be harboring some of the same old biases that had plagued the financial industry for generations. Determined to discover the truth, Tiana decided to go undercover as a regular customer. On a crisp autumn morning in Atlanta, Tiana transformed her appearance. She traded her usual high-end attire for a modest business suit and a simple hairstyle. To further conceal her identity, she donned a baseball cap and sunglasses. This deliberate tactic allowed her to experience the bank's service from a fresh perspective, one untainted by her high-profile status. As she walked into Meridian Trust Bank, Tiana recalled countless evenings when she had been overlooked or silently judged because of her identity. She remembered moments in boardrooms when subtle dismissals had made her doubt her own worth, and encounters in everyday settings when her presence was questioned. These memories fueled her determination to expose any inequities hiding behind the bank's strict policies. Tiana's undercover mission was not just about uncovering biases, it was about challenging institutions to live up to their promise of equal respect for every customer. She believed that true success meant using her influence to create a more just and equitable world. Her journey from a modest upbringing to the helm of a global financial powerhouse was a testament to her grit, resilience, and unwavering commitment to fairness and personal dignity. Through her actions, Tiana Bradford proved that hard work and integrity could break through every barrier. She showed that success was not just about accumulating wealth, but about using one's achievements to serve as a beacon of hope for those who often felt marginalized. Her story was one of grit, resilience, and a deep-seated belief in the power of fairness and personal dignity. It was a story that inspired countless others to challenge the status quo and strive for a more just and equitable world. On that day, Tiana walked into Meridian Trust Bank with quiet determination. The bank's lobby was a blend of modern comfort and old-world elegance. The floor gleamed with polished marble, soft music played in the background, and elegant light fixtures cast a welcoming glow over comfortable seating areas. Yet despite these inviting details, Tiana could sense a rigidity in the air, a formality that sometimes left little room for genuine warmth. At the reception desk, she was greeted by Marlene, a young teller with an earnest yet slightly nervous smile. "Good morning. Welcome to Meridian Trust Bank. How may I assist you today?" Marlene asked in a clear, neutral tone. Tiana answered plainly, "I'd like to withdraw $100,000 from my business account, please." Keeping her voice calm and even, she purposefully avoided any identifiers that might reveal her high-status background, settling into the role of just another customer. For several seconds, Marlene's fingers hovered above the keyboard. Tiana watched as the teller's eyes flicked over her features, a look that was a mix of professional courtesy and something else, something like uncertainty. The initial hesitation was brief, but long enough to raise Tiana's suspicions. Before any clarification could be offered, a deep, authoritative voice called out from behind the counter. "Excuse me, ma'am. Could you please follow me?" The voice belonged to Gerald Simmons, the branch manager known for adhering rigidly to bank policies. Gerald's reputation was that of a strict enforcer of rules, but today his tone and the subtle skepticism in his eyes hinted at something more personal. Gerald led Tiana away from the main lobby into a private office. The room was decorated with awards and framed photos of the bank's storied past. Behind his sizable oak desk, Gerald adopted a tone of bureaucratic formality as he said, "Ms. Bradford, our system indicates a discrepancy with your identification. The details provided do not match our records exactly. Could you explain this?" His words were measured but carried an unspoken charge, a questioning of her legitimacy that Tiana had not anticipated from someone who had always known her for who she was. Taken aback for only a moment, Tiana maintained her composure. "I am a longtime client of Meridian Trust Bank," she explained steadily. "I've been with this bank for over 20 years. My record here should be impeccable. I'm simply here to make a withdrawal, as I normally would." Her voice, while calm, resonated with an underlying firmness that spoke of countless battles fought and won. Gerald's gaze narrowed, and he continued, "For an amount of $100,000, our security protocols require additional verification to prevent any possibility of fraud. I must insist on further identification." His manner was formal, yet Tiana sensed that this was more than a routine verification step. It felt targeted, a chilling reminder that despite her decades-long loyalty, her very presence was now being scrutinized in a way that others might not be. Tiana leaned forward and met Gerald's eyes directly. "Manager Simmons, I understand the need for security, but why is it that when I come in, I am subjected to this extra layer of scrutiny? Scrutiny I have never had to face before?" she asked, her tone laced with both curiosity and quiet indignation. "I expect the same fair treatment as any other client." At that moment, a few employees near the office door stopped and listened. Their whispered exchanges suggested they, too, were witnessing something deeply unsettling. Gerald's reply was cautious. "Our policies are applied uniformly to all accounts, Ms. Bradford. However, for large transactions, extra verification is standard procedure." Even as he spoke these words, the pause before his response hinted at an ulterior motive, a silent acknowledgement that this was not the treatment she should have received. Determined not to let this pass without challenge, Tiana produced additional identification, a driver's license and a recent bank statement, and placed them on the desk. Gerald took the documents, scrutinizing them with a deliberate slowness that made every second feel like an eternity. Outside, the chatter of the lobby continued, mixing with the subtle tension that now filled the private office. After a prolonged silence, Gerald looked up, his face showing a mixture of irritation and reluctant concession. "Ms. Bradford, everything appears to be in order," he finally conceded. "But as per our procedures for high-value transactions, I must ask that you wait while we verify these details with the head office." There was a finality in his voice, a dismissal that left no room for immediate resolution. It was at that moment that Tiana's expression hardened. With a controlled intensity, she replied, "I am not here to be kept waiting or made to feel anything less than the valued client I've always been. I demand that you process this withdrawal immediately." Her words carried the weight of years of built-up frustration and the certainty that she would not tolerate being treated with undue suspicion. Gerald hesitated for a heartbeat, long enough for the small audience outside the office door to catch every word. "If you're not willing to provide further cooperation, then I'm afraid you'll have to leave." Gerald said in a clipped tone, clearly trying to maintain authority despite the escalating tension. Without missing a beat, Tiana's eyes flashed with decisive authority. Actually, I will be leaving, she announced, her voice rising so that everyone in the vicinity could hear. But not without making one thing absolutely clear. Manager Simmons, you are fired, effective immediately. The declaration hung heavily in the room. It was inconceivable that a client could dismiss a manager on the spot. Yet in that moment, Tiana was not merely a customer, but the brilliant CEO who had fought countless battles for fairness and respect. The seismic confrontation in the private office of Meridian Trust Bank sent shockwaves through the institution. Within moments, the tense exchange between Tiana Bradford and manager Simmons had drawn the attention of employees and customers alike. Whispers of awe and concern filled the air as people lingered near the door, trying to catch a glimpse of the unfolding drama. The incident was partly recorded by the small device Tiana had concealed in her purse, a precaution she always took when going undercover. This footage would later become a crucial piece of evidence, capturing the raw emotions and stark reality of the encounter. Word spread rapidly throughout Meridian Trust Bank. Within an hour, internal memos were circulating, and the incident was making its way onto social media. Employees recounted in hushed conversations how they had noticed subtle signs of discriminatory behavior long before that day. They spoke of customers from certain backgrounds being treated differently, even under the guise of strict protocols. Tiana's bold move had become the catalyst for a larger conversation than anyone had anticipated, sparking a wave of introspection and accountability within the bank. Several bank tellers later told their colleagues, "I knew something wasn't right when I saw Ms. Bradford being singled out. Today, she didn't just speak up, she changed everything." One teller confided, "I never thought I'd witness a manager getting fired right there in the branch. It was like watching history being made." The impact of Tiana's actions was immediate and profound, forcing the bank to confront its long-standing issues head-on. In the following days, Tiana's encounter with manager Simmons dominated conversations among the bank's employees. More importantly, it compelled Meridian Trust Bank's leadership to take decisive action. The head office quickly initiated an internal investigation, and in the face of mounting public scrutiny, promised an overhaul of the bank's customer service and verification protocols. New guidelines were drafted that specifically emphasized the need to treat all clients with the same level of respect, regardless of background or appearance. Mandatory diversity training was instituted for all staff members, ensuring that every employee understood the importance of fairness and inclusivity. We want you to understand something as well. By clicking that like and subscribe button, you help us out, like a lot, so make sure to show us your support by doing so. Now let's get back to the story. Tiana's confrontation was not merely an act of personal retribution, it was a powerful declaration that established clients were entitled to dignity and impartiality. In interviews that followed, Tiana explained, "For years I've placed my trust in institutions that claim to value every customer equally. Today I had to remind them that respect isn't optional, it's a right." Her remarks struck a chord with a broader audience, resonating deeply with those who had experienced similar injustices. At community meetings, local business owners and even everyday patrons of the bank began to share their own stories of subtle discrimination. One longtime customer remarked, "I always suspected that our bank treated people differently. Today, thanks to Tiana, we finally see that we deserve better." These accounts fueled a broader public dialogue about accountability in the financial sector, a conversation that extended well beyond the walls of Meridian Trust Bank. The ripple effects of Tiana's actions were far-reaching. Other financial institutions took notice and began to review their own practices, recognizing the need for change. Tiana's story became a rallying cry for fairness and equality, inspiring others to stand up against injustice. Her courageous act served as a reminder that one person could make a difference, that speaking up could lead to meaningful change. As the days turned into weeks, Meridian Trust Bank underwent a significant transformation. The once staid institution embraced a new culture of inclusivity and respect. Employees reported feeling more empowered to challenge biases and advocate for fair treatment. Customers noticed a tangible shift in the way they were treated, feeling valued and respected regardless of their background. Tiana Bradford's legacy at Meridian Trust Bank was one of profound impact. She had not only exposed the cracks in the system, but had also paved the way for a more equitable future. Her story served as a beacon of hope, inspiring others to challenge the status quo and fight for what was right. In the end, Tiana's bold move had not just changed a bank, it had changed the way an entire community thought about fairness, respect, and the power of one voice to make a difference. Over the next few weeks, the impact of that fateful morning continued to ripple through the community. Tiana Bradford became a symbol of transformative leadership, not solely for her financial acumen, but for her unwavering willingness to confront injustice. She was invited to speak at industry conferences and community forums, where she recounted her experience with sincerity and determined resolve. What happened at Meridian Trust Bank wasn't just about a withdrawal, she often said. It was about challenging the status quo and demanding that every institution treat its clients with fairness. Her words resonated with many, particularly those who had long endured subtle yet hurtful biases in their daily interactions. Tiana's actions prompted several other banks in the region to review and adjust their internal policies, and soon industry-wide discussions about ethical practices and customer rights became common parlance at financial seminars. In boardrooms across the nation, executives discussed Tiana's case as a cautionary tale, a call to action to ensure that strict protocols never mask discriminatory practices. Back at Meridian Trust, the changes were tangible. The fired manager's abrupt removal served as a stark reminder that no one was above accountability. The bank's new management team, diverse in both background and perspective, committed to rebuilding trust with clients by hosting town hall meetings and inviting feedback from community members. Employee uniforms and service scripts were revamped to emphasize empathy and respect. New hires were specifically chosen for their ability to connect with customers on a human level rather than merely following procedural norms. One particularly moving moment occurred during a follow-up event hosted by the bank. The newly appointed CEO of Meridian Trust invited several longtime clients to share their experiences with the institution. When one client, a middle-aged woman who had once felt invisible every time she visited the bank, spoke up, her voice wavering with emotion, the audience leaned in. "I used to come in feeling like I didn't belong," she said softly. "Today, seeing real changes being implemented, I finally feel seen and respected." Her words encapsulated the transformation that was now underway, a transformation sparked by Tiana's fearless stand. During these events, Tiana emphasized that her actions were about more than just a personal grievance. "This isn't about one incident or one individual," she explained during a panel discussion. "It's about creating a future where every person is valued, where every client's dignity is recognized regardless of who they are. Accountability and fairness should never be optional. They're the foundation of our society." Her passionate call to action ignited discussions far beyond the financial sphere, inspiring movements across various industries. With the seismic confrontation at Meridian Trust Bank, the satisfaction in the community was palpable. Customers began sharing positive stories of their interactions with the bank under its new guidelines. The atmosphere within the bank's branches shifted noticeably. Employees reported feeling more valued in their roles and became eager champions for the revamped culture. The change was not just superficial, it was a deep-seated transformation that permeated every level of the institution. Internal surveys showed a marked increase in customer satisfaction ratings, and the bank's public image improved rapidly. The once staid institution was now seen as a beacon of progress and inclusivity. Customers who had previously felt marginalized now spoke of feeling respected and heard. The bank's commitment to diversity and inclusion was no longer just a slogan. It was a lived experience for both employees and clients. For Tiana Bradford, the resolution went beyond professional victory. It was personal vindication. She had fought not just for herself, but for every person who had ever felt overlooked or dismissed. On the anniversary of the incident, she organized a community fundraiser to support initiatives aimed at promoting diversity and inclusion in financial services. The event was held in a spacious hotel ballroom adorned with warm lighting and inspirational banners. The atmosphere was electric, filled with a sense of purpose and unity. As Tiana took the stage, the room fell silent. She spoke to a large, appreciative crowd, her voice steady and confident. "Today," she said, "we stand together as a reminder that respect is earned not through silence, but through the courage to speak up when something isn't right. I'm grateful to see that together, we are not only demanding change, but we are making it happen." Her words were met with resounding applause, and many in the audience were moved to tears. Employees of Meridian Trust, community leaders, and everyday customers came forward to thank her for inspiring them to raise their voices. One young employee remarked, "I've been working here for 5 years, and I never thought I'd see a day when our bank would truly listen to us. Today, you showed us that change is possible." The moment was emotional, a satisfying culmination of hard-fought battles and a promise of a fairer future. The impact of Tiana's actions extended far beyond the walls of Meridian Trust Bank. As the months passed, the bank emerged as a role model for customer service and ethical practices in the financial industry. Tiana's undercover investigation had not only exposed deep-seated biases, but had also led to actionable reforms. Industry conferences featured case studies on the incident, and the story was shared in business schools as an example of leadership that transcends profit margins. At one notable alumni event, a young executive recounted the story of the day. A billionaire CEO, incognito yet unyielding, walked into a bank and fired a manager on the spot for failing to provide equal service. Tiana Bradford didn't just change one bank's policies, he said. She shifted the entire conversation about what respect in business really means. The audience listened intently, inspired by the tale of courage and conviction. The ripple effects of Tiana's actions were far-reaching. Other financial institutions took notice and began to review their own practices, recognizing the need for change. Tiana's story became a rallying cry for fairness and equality, inspiring others to stand up against injustice. Her courageous act served as a reminder that one person could make a difference, and that speaking up could lead to meaningful change. As the months turned into years, Meridian Trust Bank continued to evolve. The bank's leadership remained committed to the principles of diversity, inclusion, and accountability. Regular audits were conducted to ensure that the new guidelines were being followed, and employee feedback was actively sought and acted upon. The bank's culture of respect and fairness became ingrained, a testament to the lasting impact of Tiana's intervention. Tiana herself continued to be a vocal advocate for corporate responsibility. She used her platform to challenge other institutions to live up to their promises of equal respect for every customer. Her speeches and interviews were filled with passion and conviction, inspiring countless others to follow in her footsteps. She became a sought-after speaker at conferences and events, her story serving as a beacon of hope and inspiration. The community fundraiser that Tiana had organized became an annual event, growing in size and scope each year. It served as a reminder of the power of collective action and the importance of standing up for what is right. The funds raised supported a variety of initiatives aimed at promoting diversity and inclusion in financial services, from scholarships for underrepresented students to training programs for bank employees. The story of Tiana Bradford's undercover investigation and the subsequent transformation of Meridian Trust Bank became a staple in business schools and leadership programs. It was taught as a case study in ethical leadership, a testament to the power of one individual to effect change. Students and professionals alike drew inspiration from Tiana's courage and conviction, learning valuable lessons about the importance of integrity, fairness, and the willingness to challenge the status quo. Tiana's legacy continued to grow. She was honored with numerous awards and accolades, recognizing her contributions to the financial industry and her commitment to social justice. Yet for Tiana, the true measure of her success was not in the awards she received, but in the lives she had touched and the changes she had inspired. She often reflected on the journey that had led her to that fateful day at Meridian Trust Bank. From her humble beginnings to her rise as a visionary leader, Tiana's story was one of grit, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to fairness and personal dignity. She had faced numerous obstacles along the way, from financial struggles to entrenched biases, but she had never let these challenges define her. Instead, she had used them as fuel to drive her ambition and her desire to create a more just and equitable world. Tiana's story served as a reminder that true success is not measured solely by financial gains, but by the positive impact one can have on society. Her actions had not only transformed Meridian Trust Bank, but had also inspired a broader movement for change. She had shown that one person could make a difference, that speaking up could lead to meaningful change, and that respect and dignity were rights that every individual deserved. Years later, Tiana Bradford's bold stance continued to be celebrated as a turning point in corporate ethics. In interviews, she often reflected on that fateful day at Meridian Trust Bank. "I wasn't just fighting for myself," she explained. "I was fighting for every person who's ever been made to feel less than they are. The changes we achieved aren't just policies on paper. They're a promise that our world can be fairer." At annual conferences on diversity and inclusion, her story is recounted as a vivid example of how one person's courage can transform institutions. Community leaders, financial experts, and everyday citizens look back on the day with a sense of gratitude for the shifts it inspired. Meridian Trust Bank, now a beacon of progressive change, continues to engage its customers with programs that celebrate diversity, ensuring that every voice is heard and respected. One evening, during a celebratory dinner held at the bank's headquarters, a young teller, newly inspired by Tiana's example, quietly admitted to a coworker, "I used to think our policies were unchangeable, but now I see that even the deepest biases can be challenged when someone stands up. Today, every time I greet a customer, I do it with the hope that I contribute to that change." It was a small moment, but it symbolized the deep and lasting impact of Tiana's fearless action. Tiana's legacy lives on, not just in the reformed walls of Meridian Trust Bank, but in the hearts of countless people who now believe that fairness is worth fighting for. Her story reminds us that true leadership is not measured by the amount of wealth one accumulates, but by the lives one touches and the change one inspires. When you witness an injustice, whether subtle or overt, remember that your voice matters. Stand up, speak out, and let your actions pave the way for a more equitable tomorrow. Now, I'd like to hear from you. Have you ever encountered a moment when you felt you weren't given the respect you deserved? What would you do if you were in Tiana's shoes when faced with an injustice that challenged the very core of your identity? Your thoughts and experiences matter. Please share your stories in the comments below, and let's work together to make our communities places where fairness and dignity are not just ideals, but everyday realities. If you believe that one courageous act can ignite change, spread this story. Let it serve as a reminder that every person, no matter who they are, deserves respect. Together, we can build a future where every interaction, every policy, and every institution upholds the highest standard of equality. In the end, Tiana Bradford's day at Meridian Trust Bank was much more than a personal victory. It was a watershed moment for an institution and a powerful reminder that even well-established systems are not immune to change when met with unwavering integrity. Her legacy continues to inspire us all to stand up, speak out, and fight for a world where everyone is treated with the dignity they deserve. Thank you for reading this story. If it resonated with you, please share it with others and leave your thoughts below. Let's continue to champion fairness and accountability in every sphere of our lives.